Hi, my name is Royletta Romaine. I'm the owner of Healing by the Forkful. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm licensed in the state of Massachusetts. I'm also a new certified LEAP therapist. LEAP stands for Lifestyle, Eating, and Performance. I help my clients reduce or stop symptoms of inflammation. So that includes fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, and migraines. And we do this with food, not medication. You can find me on Instagram at healingbytheforkful, or you can email me at healingbytheforkfulrd@gmail.com. My mini podcast is short and to the point. A few times a month, I will bring you a new person who has been helped at by what I call a personalized anti-inflammation blueprint. That's a mouthful. Um, Please send me an email if you have questions or would like to be on the podcast. My hope is that I can help as many people as I can. So, welcome to Healing by the Forkful, and let's get started. So, this morning we have another fellow ID who is also a certified leap therapist. So, Bethany, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm so glad to be here with you, Royletta. And as happens so many times in our life, we're looking for answers for ourselves. And then after that, we can help other people. So back in 2016, I was searching for answers for my family who were having significant GI issues. We actually thought my husband might have gastrointestinal cancer,
Oh,
my sister with autoimmune disease, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. So I was digging for answers somewhere, and I felt so helpless about what to do to help them. You know, as women, a lot of times we're helping other people before we help ourselves. So I was finding answers for them, but in the middle of it, I found a huge answer for my own health. So that's where my story with LEAP started.
Fantastic. So, what were your symptoms or your diagnosis, if you want to share that as well?
Well, one of the things I was really dealing with was shortness of breath. Like I felt like I could not catch my breath. That was the main presenting problem. I'd had 4 children within the span of 5 years.
Wow.
And I didn't realize how much my health was falling apart, but I was exhausted. So I needed a nap every day.
It's a lot with one child, 4 children. You're just like running around, no time for yourself.
It was nuts. And I didn't know how to listen to my body. So when I filled out the symptoms survey and listed so many things that I had going on with my bowels, and like I wasn't digesting well and just completely exhausted, and I had to urinary frequency was a huge one for me. Like I felt like I couldn't, I was always going to the restroom, and I hadn't been drinking that much or anything. So, but my main thing was I've got a lot of shortness of breath, and it started to compound after I had started my husband on his own program. So it got worse for me after I helped him out. And I'm like, what is going on?
And that's key because it's so individualized for everybody. I think that is just mind blowing.
It is. So I enrolled in this big high package program with my chiropractor, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I finally, after 2 months after I'd started my husband on his own LEAP plan, I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my results. And it was so eye-opening to see some of the things that I had been giving to him more that were causing me issues. Yeah. One of them was peanut oil. So he was really reactive to sunflower and soy. And so I was like, well, we'll cook with peanut oil. That's great because I've been using sunflower oil. Well, peanuts were a huge trigger for me with shortness of breath. That and tomatoes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
And those are healthy foods.
They are.
And it just didn't work with your body.
Exactly.
So how long have you had suffered with these symptoms? Like how long do you think?
It probably was going on. It was quite a few months because I booked an appointment at the top-notch pulmonary center at Vanderbilt, where I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And I went through their whole workup. That's where I had been a dietitian in the past. I was like, well, I'm going to go ask these doctors because they know what's going on with my lungs. And my pulmonary function was fine. And the doctor looked at me and said, you know, it's probably just stress. They couldn't find a single thing wrong with me. And I was so discouraged.
They always push it on stress or it's your hormones and like, no, it's something else.
Well, well, I was stressed, but like, what's that stress causing? What's it doing? And I didn't feel like I had an action plan until I came upon and I started training for my program as a leap therapist. So within 2 weeks of starting on my own personalized plan, not just helping my husband, my symptoms had calmed down so much. I had energy. I could breathe again. I remember sitting on my steps going up to my kids' wing of our house and thinking, I just caught a deep breath and I feel like I could go up and down the stairs without feeling like I'm breathless.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
It was incredible. I had my energy, but I felt like I got my life back and I could be really present with my kids. I wasn't having mood swings and irritability that I got down on myself so much about, thinking something wrong with me as a mama. Like, even I need to pray more. I need the Lord's help, which I do.
You do.
It's a physical thing that was going on with me. And my blood sugar was probably going all over the place and I was irritable, but I felt calm and collected and just so much more aware of my body. Like, wow, food really impacts you so much.
Absolutely. And it's strange being a dietitian, and now you're like, oh, I eat these foods all the time. They're healthy foods. We've studied them. We know. But then there are just some foods that are not compatible with your body. And this protocol makes such a big difference, because there are little tweaks, and some people can notice changes in 5 days. Some people it does take up to a month, maybe 60 or 90 days. But for the most part, you're picking up some significant changes fairly quickly.
Absolutely. And, you asked me as I reflected back, when did it start? So those immediate symptoms of shortness of breath and that kind of thing, that was kind of probably a few months. But I now look back on my life and think this was brewing for a long time. I've had a lot of things in my life that I've had to work through that contributed to stress in my life and contributed to a lot of that overload of my immune system. So had I had that 10, 20 years before and known some of these things, it would have been so helpful. And even the food chemicals that I kind of learned about, tyramine, that was a huge one for me. And it's genetic. I can see it in my family. So, and a generation above me. And then I have issues, and then so do my children. So it's one of the things, I'm so glad to see that tie together of like, oh, and now I've worked through it and calmed down my body and I can handle more. But then that was a big thing of, I don't need to be storing leftovers in the refrigerator for 4 days, 5 days and eating that. Plus my fermented food I was loading up on kombucha. I loved kombucha, but I was having.
I can't get into it. I have a little bit of sauerkraut every day, but I can't get into the kombucha.
One of my kids would say, Mom, I need some kombucha.
How old are your children?
Now they're almost 16, 15, 13, and 11. And then I have a little 3-year-old. But back then they were really young. So they've all gone through their own personalized plan too. And they know what works for their body. And they want to listen to their body. But we all kind of work through. At one time I was managing 6 different plans. I don't recommend that for everybody, but that's
a lot.
When I was learning, they were my guinea pigs and they know all the languages. Like, oh, that's a reactive food. I don't feel strong when I have that. Or that really gives me headaches, or, makes me feel wired in my brain or irritable.
That's wonderful. So many children, so many adults aren't able to use their words and to try to decipher what's going on with their bodies and feelings, of course. But that's amazing.
I think it is incredible to learn to listen to your body. Very good tool. I mean, kind of a nice byproduct of what I did. I never thought about learning that skill, but yeah, it's very important.
Cool. Now, tell me how your life has changed since starting LEAP.
My life took a totally different trajectory. When I got my energy back, it started me on a path, not just physical healing, but also to have the energy to do a lot of deep emotional work that I needed to do. Until I had gotten my health back, I wouldn't have even been able to focus on anything else. And you can't. I've actually done LEAP a few different times in my life for some different reasons. And so I knew I had a tool in my back pocket after the birth of my 5th child, when I had postpartum preeclampsia and I couldn't get it to resolve. With pregnancy, everything kind of changes. So your immune system kind of goes haywire again. And usually you don't have to retest for food sensitivities. You calm it down, everything's fine. But I couldn't get my blood pressure to resolve. I was still on blood pressure meds like 6 to 9 months after my baby was born. And I finally consulted with a cardiologist who's more functionally minded. And he used the words, your body's stuck in an inflammatory state. And the light bulbs went off. And I said, inflammation? I can do something about inflammation. So I started on my own pathway again, like years later, resolved it. I now know my checkers are for high blood pressure. I've been able to get off my blood pressure medicines. I was so relieved because I did not want to, I'd never had issues before. So it's been a tool to help me, but then also it has changed my family completely. My husband, I felt like, was a different person. He has been able to resolve his gastrointestinal issues. And then honestly, it's revolutionized my whole practice as a dietitian because I've helped now over 100 people with their own immune food plan. So I had to start with me first. I had to experience a transformation first.
Absolutely.
I believe in this. And it is, it's the power of food as medicine. And I'm so thankful. The Lord has given us an amazing body, and learning the foods that love our body back is key.
It's absolutely life-changing. I still can't believe how my life has changed night to day. It's just really amazing. So, like I said, it's a short podcast. We've gone through the questions. Is there anything else that actually, you know what? If you had somebody who is basically like hemming and hawing about doing this, what would you tell them?
What is it costing you to stay stuck where you are? And is it worth it?
Nice.
What are you missing out on? Because so many people have told me they have gotten their life back from working with me. And one woman took out of her investments for the future, her 401k. She took it out of that and said, I would do it again in a heartbeat because I enjoy my life now and I can be free. So that is, what is the cost of your freedom?
Yes, definitely. You know, some people ask me, why did I leave such a high-paying job to do this? And it's because I experienced it. I knew what it was like not to be able to be me, and my life has just completely changed. So I get it. I totally get it.
I look forward to hearing more of your stories, Tim, too. So if I haven't,
I know I have to do my story. I keep saying that I'm going to do it, but I need to write it a little bit more, and I need to I need to do it. It's on the top 10. Because you're right. I need to make sure people understand that I've done it and what it's done for my life as well.
Well, thanks. I'm so glad to be with you on this journey as a fellow sleep therapist. So that's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Bethany. I really enjoyed this time with you.
I enjoyed it as well. You have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.